In the tapestry of human existence, few forces wield as much power over us as beauty and desire. These alluring energies may appear harmless, but they have a great influence on our hearts and thoughts. The Stoics understood the danger in these transient events. Beauty and desire, they cautioned, can lead us astray, breeding discontent and disrupting our inner peace. So how can we correctly respond to these feelings? This guide aims to answer this question. Stay with us until the end, so you don't miss any important information or key points that can help you improve step by step. The Stoics aren't typically renowned for their notions about beauty, which is understandable. As champions of reason, they might appear disinterested in a domain as subjective and emotionally charged as aesthetics. However, contrary to popular belief, the Stoics did possess well-formed ideas about beauty, to the extent of considering everything good to be inherently beautiful. Although much of the Stoic material on beauty has been lost to the sands of time, we can still infer a great deal from their ethical writings. In various Stoic-inspired texts, aesthetic language is frequently employed to underscore a point, particularly during moral debates. For instance, to kalon, a Greek term roughly translating to beautiful, honorable, and noble, often appears in the works of Aristotle and Cicero. The most explicit Stoic definition of beauty, however, comes from the fragmentary writings of Chrysippus, who defined beauty as a symmetria of parts with each other and with a whole. As Galen, a physician to Marcus Aurelius, records, Chrysippus holds beauty does not consist in the elements of the body, but in the harmonious proportion of the parts, the proportion of one finger to another, of all fingers to the rest of the hand, of the rest of the hand to the wrist, and of these to the forearm, and of the forearm to the whole arm, and in short, everything to everything else. It's crucial to note that this definition of beauty, as the proper proportion and functioning of parts, applies to both the human body and the soul, with the soul understood as the seat of rationality. While physical beauty, considered a preferred indifferent, is desirable, the Stoics believed that true beauty lies within. For them, beauty isn't merely superficial, but is expressed through actions in everyday life. How does one radiate beauty through their character? According to the Stoics, a well-rounded character embodies four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Although these virtues are not innately present in one's character, they can be cultivated over time through consistent effort and practice. One way the Stoics sought to develop wisdom was by finding beauty in everyday life. We are born with a natural curiosity about the world and our place within it, but as we grow older and fall into routines, our curiosity and intellect often diminish. By seeking beauty in the small and mundane, the Stoics were able to deepen their understanding of the world and better cope with life's challenges. This does not mean the Stoics were necessarily optimists. A more accurate characterization would be realists. They sought to restore objectivity to their worldview through a practice called contemptuous expressions. This exercise involves recognizing aspects of the world for what they truly are, rather than how we perceive them. As Marcus Aurelius noted, we must strip away the legend that encrusts them. For example, a steak is nothing but a dead cow, state borders are invisible and arbitrary lines, and alcoholic beverages are simply ethanol coated in sugar. Why did the Stoics do this? Because over-glamorizing the material world increases the risk of becoming consumed by it. One valuable lesson that civilization could learn from Stoicism is that happiness is not found in the material world. Additionally, by practicing contemptuous expressions, the Stoics found they could keep their egos in check and make bad habits less appealing. This practice helped them break free from various vices and let their true beauty shine. Another way the Stoics aimed to develop a virtue like temperance was by limiting or refraining from the consumption of alcohol. While the Stoics regarded various pleasures as preferred indifference, they held a certain level of contempt for pleasures that compromised their capacity to reason. As Epictetus states, it is a mark of want of intellect to spend much time in things relating to the body, as to be immoderate in exercises, in eating and drinking, and in the discharge of other animal functions. These things should be done incidentally, and our main strength be applied to our reason. Reason breathes moral significance into our actions. Actions devoid of reason lack intentions, and without intentions, actions lack moral significance. There is a moral distinction between intentionally knocking over someone's glass and doing so unintentionally. Since drinking impairs our capacity to reason, it should come as no surprise that the Stoics disdained getting drunk. With each sip of alcohol, our moral character diminishes. Beauty is neither in the eye of the beholder nor a quality that mysteriously simply supervises certain objects or people. Instead, it is the result of a person exuding the four cardinal virtues through a process of trial and error. Thus, the good and beautiful, far from being polar opposites, are two facets of the same well-lived life. As Epictetus wrote in the Enchiridion, the faculty of desire purports to aim at securing what you want. If you fail in your desire, you are unfortunate. If you experience what you would rather avoid, you are unhappy. For desire, suspend it completely for now, because if you desire something outside your control, you are bound to be disappointed. And even things we do control, which under other circumstances would be deserving of our desire, are not yet within our power to attain. Restrict yourself to choice and refusal, and exercise them carefully within discipline and detachment. Late Stoic thought of the 2nd century paints a vivid picture of the work of philosophy in producing both self-coherence and progress, a prescription for handling ourselves and our actions in the world. Epictetus said this about the path of progress: there are 3 areas in which the person who would be wise and good must be trained. The first has to do with desires and aversions, that a person may never miss the mark in desires nor fall into what repels them. The second has to do with impulses to act and not to act, and more broadly, with duty, that a person may act deliberately for good reasons and not carelessly. The third has to do with freedom from deception and composure, and the whole area of judgment, the assent our mind gives to its perceptions. Of these areas, the chief and most urgent is the first, which has to do with the passions, for strong emotions arise only when we fail in our desires and aversions. The Stoics identified 4 passions that stifled progress and contributed to our misery. They divided these passions into 2 types. The first pertains to things not in present possession or anticipated in the future, which are desire and fear. The second pertains to things presently engaging a person, which are pleasure and distress. Here, we will focus on the passion of desire. Epictetus states the Stoic position most clearly in Discourses. Freedom isn't secured by filling up on your heart's desire, but by removing your desire. In Aristotle, this was understood as appetence, a longing or craving, and was something shared with animals and different from purposive choice, which involves reason and deliberation. In our purposive choice, not in external things, Epictetus says, God laid down this law, saying, if you want some good, get it from yourself. How often do we sit around waiting, hoping, begging, craving, wishing for luck to strike or change to happen? We hope to meet the right person, yet we maintain the same social circle and habits we've always had. We wish to lose weight, as if someone other than us was cheating on our diet. We desire our work to be recognized and to accomplish our goals, but we hold ourselves back from really trying. As Epictetus put it, we could sit and pray our nose doesn't run, or we could simply start blowing our own nose. Self-reliance is the key. Each of us must take responsibility for ourselves, not relying on the gods or the whims of fortune to determine whether we get what we want. Marcus Aurelius said that principles and action need to be the source of desire and must be limited to only what's in our control. Nature of any kind thrives on forward progress, and progress for a rational mind means not accepting falsehood or uncertainty in its perceptions, making unselfish actions its only aim, seeking and shunning only the things it has control over. So what we need in our ascent, in our forward progress, is deliberate action, not hope for uncertainties. Desire is form over function. Deliberate action is function. The critical work you aspire to do will require your deliberation and consideration, not desire. A desire presupposes the possibility of action to achieve it. Action presupposes a goal worth achieving. That's why a deliberate, purposeful person operates on a different level. It would be far better if we were intimidated by what lies ahead, humbled by its magnitude, and determined to see it through regardless. We must leave desire. Make it about what we feel we must do and say, not what we hope might happen or wish to be. Attached to the process, not the outcome. Prepare and act. Don't hope and wait. Then we can do great things. If you want to know what is one of the most misleading and dangerous lies among popular ideas nowadays, listen to our previous video. The link is on the screen. Thank you for joining us on this Stoic journey. Until next time, may these practices transform your mornings, your days, and ultimately, your life.